one of the things that's important to me in the work that I do is to help more people, one, dare to dream and actually go, what do I want? You know, where am I at now? And what would I love if I wasn't scared of anything and I didn't have any limitations? And then, okay, what's the step towards that? So I have that idea of where I'd like to go and I'm taking those little steps. But I do think a lot of it comes back to what we believe is possible for us rather than having that kind of innate sense of, I'm going to go for my dreams. I think it's, do you believe that you can achieve your dreams, or do you believe you're even worthy of dreaming?
So that's Danie Evergreen. Danie is an incredible personal development coach based on the south coast of England. And in today's episode, she is sharing a really, really useful nugget about the fact that we should have larger goals and we shouldn't shy away from larger goals. And actually, as long as we are doing little tiny increments each and every single day, we will get there at some point. Whilst you're here, if you're new to this channel, please, we would love it if you subscribed to the podcast. It's always appreciated. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up, whatever you need to do. And also, whilst you're here, if you haven't signed up to our newsletter, please feel free to subscribe down. The link is down there below. Every week, we're sharing more and more amazing information about the fabulous humans that we interview every single week. Let's go. Danie, thank you so much for being here today. As with every single episode of the Digital Circus Life, we start with one very important question, and that is, what is it that you're trying to achieve?
So I think for me, it's about, this is going to sound very cheesy, but it's about making the world a bit of a happier place. And I see that as starting with myself and then helping other people to do the same. And I think if we were all a little bit more confident and like believed in ourselves more, then there would actually be a lot less conflict. And because when you feel good about yourself, then you're not so worried about what everyone else is doing and you're more able to genuinely connect with other people, which is what we're all really looking for, I think. That and just having a nice life, enjoying the journey, you know, creating space to enjoy spending time with the people that I really love while doing something that I feel like makes a difference in the world.
Where does that come from?
Do you know what? I was going in my head, I can't ask where does that come from, because that's what I always ask, and thankfully you did, Emily.
That is a massive purpose in your role, and that's very admirable. But yeah, that has to come from somewhere. So talk us through what makes that your purpose.
I think I've always ever since I was a child at school, I was always kind of getting involved sounds bad, but I was helping other people kind of in my class. So I was always kind of, you know, the person who was struggling a bit, I'd be like, oh, you know, let me see if I can explain it a different way. And I always thought I would become a teacher. But I had teachers in my family and didn't kind of feel like that was quite the right route, partly because I valued my own well-being. And I feel like teachers have a really tough time. So I kind of was like, I want to protect myself, but I also want to still feel like I can share and do something that makes a difference. And then that kind of led me into the coaching work. But I don't know, I've always had this feeling of like, everyone does something special. Everyone is unique. And some people find that really easily. And some people need a bit more time, support, whatever, to get there. But yeah, I don't know. I just think there's a sense that everyone has something value about them. And I guess it's that championing the underdog, finding, you know, supporting people that maybe need the support. I think I've just always had that in me. I don't really know where that comes from. I suppose like an element of nurturing as well. Yeah, it's just there's something that's always been there.
All right. So if we get in semi-heavy for a moment, do we think we can be born with that, or does that have to come, you know, on a classic nature versus nurture? Can we be born that way?
I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that. I don't know.
You're qualified to have an opinion. As long as we say this is your opinion, I think we're okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I think my mum worked with children. My granddad worked with people with special needs. So maybe it is something that has kind of, whether it's something I was born with or whether it's something I've seen from the people in my life from a very young age. I think it is, to me, it's something that was kind of always there. My mum, like I say, worked with children for a long time. My gran is one of those people that's very much the matriarch and always taking care of people. So I think there's always been that sense of nurturing, whether that's learned or innate. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
I think it does come down to your surroundings and who you're surrounded by as well. And not for me, not in terms of nurturing.
Sorry, can we just say, if there's anybody who actually knows about this nature nurture malarkey, get involved in the comments and let us actually know what's going on, because we are all just sharing our opinions on this at the moment.
Every single week.
Every single week.
But I didn't always know I was going to be an entrepreneur. And, I was very academic at school, and I was going to, a bit like you, I thought I was going to be a teacher, and really, really, really love you all teachers, but glad I didn't as well, because some of my best friends are teachers, and I look at them all now sort of jumping ship going, no, not for me anymore. It's just because the stress is like up there, isn't it? But my grandfather, he was a serial entrepreneur, and he got involved. Our family got involved with a family business, and my parents were obviously working in that business as well. So from a very young age, that's what I saw, and that's what I kind of as my normal of how you interact. This is how you're going to build a business. And I didn't start my business until 10 years. My first business was 10 years ago before we got into involved together.
I do think, I think there's a lot to be said for our normals, and I think that's really important. But for me, with Danie, there's two different parts. There's the desire to help people, which is a theme in the people we're chatting to, the people you guys we're chatting to on the podcast, the Digital Circus members. But then there's the starting a business, and I think they're separate things. So we can see the kind of desire to help people has come from a young age, and get that. So why make it into a business?
yeah, interesting. I don't feel like I started a business because I wanted to start a business so much as the business is a tool to do what I want to do. So I couldn't find the right environment to go and get a job to do what I wanted to do, because like I say, teachers are amazing. I've spent a lot of time working in schools. I used to teach dance in schools. I've worked as a TA, and I just felt like that wasn't the environment for me to spend years of my life in. So it was like, well, where can I do this? And then I worked as a PT and a fitness instructor for many years. And that's where what led me into doing the coaching work, because a lot of the people coming to me were coming to me for reasons of confidence, lack of motivation, things that were really about mindset. And I was just trying to help them with what I kind of already knew. So that's where I really started my journey into more of the coaching work. And that's when I think I started to kind of go, well, if I want to do this, where do I do this? So it wasn't to me so much as I never sat down and went, I want to have my own business, or I want to be an entrepreneur. It was kind of like, well, if I want to do this, I kind of have to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I think you hit the nail there. Go back to the sort of the education side and teaching, or formal education. That is so. Well, we have many opinions about the education system, and we've talked about it many times on these episodes, actually. But it's so constricting.
Yeah, click here, and here for hear our opinion on the education system.
Yeah, but it's that's so constricting. And actually, what you're able to do with your business and through your PT work and through your dance instruction as well, is that you can take that in any direction with the individual, can't you? Rather than it just being a pre-formatted, this insert here, this is the curriculum of what we're going to learn about life today, and that's not necessarily relevant. And what you can do is take that whole journey, however that fits the person that you're working with.
Yeah. Exactly.
So talk us through. Sorry, Danie, go. Please do.
No, I was just going to say exactly. I think that's exactly what it is, because I spent 10 months in Ghana teaching reception or teaching reception for kind of half of that.
Just drops that in.
No.
So, which was amazing. But while I was there, when I came back, I was like, I want to be a teacher again. I was like, oh, maybe I do want to do this. So I said, right, let's go back into school. I spent some time as a TA in school, and I did that as an opportunity to go, just check you definitely want to do this before you kind of commit to the training to do my PGCE. And I was like, actually, no, this is not the environment for me. But Ghana was amazing because you didn't have the Ofsted, you didn't have the same level of pressure, although there was still a curriculum. There was so much flexibility in how we worked. I absolutely loved it because I felt like I could follow what was right for the children and my intuition. And I wasn't constantly trying to keep up with all the paperwork and all of that stuff that, I don't know any teachers that enjoy that. Teachers love teaching, but they don't spend most of their time teaching. So I think that is, like I say, what kind of led me down that path of going, well, how do I still make a difference and help support people and help teach in a way, but without putting myself in an environment that actually isn't good for me.
Because I mean, obviously, when you're in Ghana, Guyana,
Two different places.
Ghana. So, well, no, I just wanted. I had literally a moment, right? But that's that kind of flip side for what's amazing for you and having the flexibility and lack of red tape and allowing you to do is also going to be a challenge for a lot of other aspects of the education system over there. And the reason we have all the ridiculous red tape over here is to try and standardize it and everything else, but then you quash the passion and everything else. So I can absolutely see then why a natural evolution would be into your business. Was it a conscious decision to be, and this sounds really ridiculous, but to be such a well-rounded individual? Because did you go, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to be able to bring lots of aspects in, or are you literally bimbling along in life going, oh, I'm going to try this, I'm going to do a bit of dancing, oh, I fancy being a PT, and I'm okay with that direction, and then going, oh, all of a sudden I'm a proper Liam Neeson with a unique set of skills that I can now help and coach people with. You are, Danie, I'm putting it out there, you are the Liam Neeson of the coaching world, just without the deadly judo chop.
And a gun.
How do you know? Haven't got a gun.
Valid point. I've only met you once. Valid point.
Might have a deadly judo chop. Haven't, but
yes.
Yeah, very much the latter. Very much. I wanted, when I was young, I was like, oh, I want to be a teacher. And then I was like, no, I want to be So when I was, I don't know, maybe 14, 15, I decided I wanted to be a dancer, singer, and actress. And in my youthful wisdom, I was going to go to dance school first because they like you when you're younger, and drama school, they like you to be a little bit older, so you've got a bit more life experience. So I thought, well, I'll go to dance school first, and then I'll go to drama school later. Obviously, at that time, I had no idea how much these things cost and how life just doesn't really go like that. So that's kind of where I started, and then realized kind of through dance school that actually the life of a dancer wasn't really for me. First of all, I absolutely loved teaching. I absolutely adored being in the class and teaching. And I had a job as a dancer on a cruise ship, and it was so much fun, but I really missed teaching. And I think that was one of the moments where I went, maybe like the life of a performer isn't the one I want. I love the choreography and the training element, but actually being on stage, I don't say I don't enjoy it, but it isn't the bit I love the most. It's actually all the stuff that you do to get to that point. The training element that I really enjoyed. So it was very much, and then fitness was something I started training fitness while I was at dance college because it was a way to pay the bills, and it was something I enjoyed. And then I kind of led into a PT, and it has very much been one of those opportunities have come up, ideas have popped into my head, and I've just kind of followed them. And I think I'm still doing that. I'm definitely not kind of where I'm going to end up. I'm still exploring ideas, trying new things. No idea where I'm going to, well, I've got an idea of where I'd like to be in 5-10 years, but who knows if that will be what I'll end up doing.
Oh, tell us.
Yeah, tell us. This is all about the past, but we can cover the future.
Well, who knows? I mean, the kind of, at the moment, this may change. At the moment, the big dream is kind of some land with some animals and a space to run wellness retreats, space to have communal cooking, eating, areas for people to come and stay, so that I can support people in an environment that I can then also have an element of control over, a space where there's, you can connect to nature. One, because that's an area that I'd love to live in. So it's kind of, this is what I want for my home, but also I'd love to share it with people and connect the two. And then it's somewhere I can work and have my family. We're hoping to have children soon. Ideally, my mum would then come and live close to us, maybe not on site, but close. And then, she would help. Then she would help with the childcare and things like that. So that's the kind of where I think I'd like to go. But I know that I'm also still at a point where life is going to change, and we will. I don't think I need to make decisions now forever. I just think I make decisions now for now, with the intention of going in the direction.
That's been a strong theme as well, hasn't it?
It's a huge thing. And I think that's a brilliant aspiration to have as well. And you've put it out there into the world anyway, whether you manifest or not, or believe in manifestation, you're saying it, that could absolutely happen. And what I think...
Well, it's not manifestation. We've talked about this before as well. It's about visualising your goal and having a direction,
But what I appreciate about that as an end goal for you, not even end goal, the next goal for you, is something that we always have thought about with our family and our business as a husband and wife team. And I'm imagining, because your husband obviously is a chef.
Yeah, I hope he's on board with this, let alone the mum or the mothers-in-laws. You know, what about
you've
what
got the
about
entire
the
family
husband?
planned out? Is the husband on board with this?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that idea of work-life blends that we preach about all the time because it's so important, and what you're taking there is the way in that you can monetize and pay the mortgage, but at the same time doing something with actual purpose, but blending it into things that you love about the small holding, the fresh food, the space, nature, all the things that you value. You're taking all those things together and blending it into one pot, and that's really exciting.
It's not time to bring up my opinion on gardening again, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay. Definitely not.
So definitely not. Right, Danie. I was coming back to the kind of well-rounded approach and how these things happen, and I was reminded of the "Jack of all trades" quote. And we were talking about this with someone else recently. Are you aware of the full quote, not just the short headline part?
I don't think I am. No.
No. Right. Right, so the full quote actually is, "Jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." And I think being an entrepreneur and a business owner is very much like that. Actually, being able to pull from lots of different experiences and skills and knowledge will make your kind of core offering fundamentally better and more well-rounded, and your ability to be able to do and everything else. So I think that's the way forward.
So I'm just watching Alan seamlessly just pick up his pineapple cup.
Yeah, but obviously if you're listening, you won't see that.
No.
That's why
But
I
you
don't
can
talk
imagine
about
it.
So
You can imagine a pineapple, everyone, with water in it and a pink straw.
don't imagine water. Do something much more exciting than that.
Okay, pina colada.
Pina colada on a Wednesday
Right,
morning.
come on. This is about Danie, not me in a pineapple cup.
So tell me, so you don't work with your husband yet? Is that the goal? But so if you're aiming towards that 5-10 year goal, is he in the picture?
Yeah, he's still in the picture, thankfully. Yeah, so it's interesting what you were just saying a minute ago. It kind of reminded me. I think the business part is very much around the lifestyle. The decision to start a business partly was because I went, well, where do I do this? And also partly because a family is very important, has been very important to me forever. So it was like, well, I want to, if I'm going to have children, I want to then see them. And to me, working a full-time job away from home isn't right for me. It's right for a lot of people, but it's not right for me. Or I don't think it would be. I mean, who knows? I'm not there yet, but that's what I anticipate. So yes, the idea would be we work together to build this. He can teach people to cook, and he also does fitness as well. So it's something that we would do together. And my mum would love to be involved in the childcare, and also runs a small gardening business. So she would then hopefully run the fruit and veg, growing little kitchen garden that we can then use the produce from as well. That's the aim. Whether or not that will be reality. And it probably won't be as beautifully serene as it is in my head, but there might be elements of that. So yeah, very much with him involved. I think when we met actually at a NLP practitioner training. That's where we met, which is quite an unusual place to meet your husband, I think. And because of that, one of the things we did on that course is we talked a lot about our goals for the future. And actually, when he started sharing things about his goals for the future was the first time that I kind of went, that's kind of, I want to be in that. There was something there I was a bit like, at that point, I hadn't looked at him in that way at all. But it was actually that shared vision for the future and the idea that we want the same kind of things and have very similar values, very much value the countryside, being outdoors, all of that kind of thing, which I think is very important in a relationship and in a marriage.
Yeah.
Yes, we've worked together before, and I really enjoyed working together. So apart from anything else, it means you actually get to spend some time together, because otherwise it's difficult to find time to spend together if you're both busy working out of the house and apart.
It is.
We've always said that about us working.
Oh, and we love every second of it, don't we?
I believe you.
Right. I find it's a time now. I need to quote one of our favourite people on the planet, Al
Buzz Lightyear?
Fawcett. Oh, not Buzz Lightyear. Al Fawcett today. Why wait? Right. So I get this is a goal in the direction, and I understand you don't own a plot of land today. I get that, right? But are you on steps towards it? Do you see what you're doing today as a step towards it? Literally, not metaphorically. So if that's the goal, are you currently heading in that direction?
That's a big one.
Yeah, why not?
Oh.
I'm curious.
Yeah. I mean, I think yes, we do. I mean, this year we have a garden, and I grew different produce that I've grown before, and part of that was an experimentation to see, well, what grows well, how do we grow this, what seasons, etc. We use a lot of fresh herbs in our cooking at home. So yes, we're both exploring different elements of what we want to do going forward, individually, with the view of then obviously working together. But I think once you have that goal in mind, it's just those little incremental steps. It doesn't have to be a big jump.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. But I was just wondering whether it was and I'm not trying to be funny. Nothing about this is trying to be awkward. But yeah, was it it's like, I'm trying to think, I'm trying to remove it to a more general example, but I can't think of one. It's like, yeah, sometimes people have goals, but it's a completely different trajectory. So I guess, yeah, my question was, are you on that trajectory? And you said yes. So.
I think it's a amiable trait for entrepreneurs, and that's what I think sets small business owners and entrepreneurs aside from the rest. Really, is the fact that so many people would have that as a vision on their vision board, a picture on their board, and not take that action. And what you learn as a small business owner or entrepreneur is that actually to be able to get that aligned and to be working, you have to take those steps, and you have to work out the process, and you have to take those baby steps every single day, even though it feels sometimes that you are battling against a massive brick wall. It's always moving forward. And that's not something that, going back to the whole, are you born with stuff or are you nurtured with that? Not everyone has that as a character trait, and it's something that should be explored more.
I think that is, not everyone has that, but I also think it's something that can kind of be learned. And I think a lot of it is attitude, because a lot of the time I don't think people take steps towards their goals, not because they don't have the right attitude or they don't have that in them, but because maybe they're just scared that it won't work out. And certainly for me, that I'm a mindset coach. I had to do a huge amount of my own personal development, and still do, in order to be congruent in what I do as a business. So I've learned a lot about just taking little risks and experimenting and being curious about where things can lead, and with the intention that actually, if it doesn't work out, I'm going to learn something from it, and that's okay. But most of us don't grow up with that. We grow up with thinking, if I get it wrong, something awful is going to happen, and I'm going to be a failure, and I'm going to then be judged for that. So I do think that that's one of the things that's important to me in the work that I do, is to help more people, dare to dream and actually go, what do I want? Where am I at now? And what would I love if I wasn't scared of anything and I didn't have any limitations? And then, okay, what's the step towards that? So yeah, maybe I can't buy a plot of land and animals and all that today, but what small thing can I do today that is going to be similar or in the same direction? I can grow some herbs and use them in my cooking. I can go and spend time on farms on my day off. I can talk to people, I can read books, I can, do all those things that are related. So I have that idea of where I'd like to go, and I'm taking those little steps. But I do think a lot of it comes back to mindset and what we believe is possible for us, rather than having that kind of innate sense of, I'm going to go for my dreams. I think it's, do you believe that you can achieve your dreams? Or do you believe you're even worthy of dreaming?
I know. I love it when people drop these big things on us like that, because it gets me thinking, and I get excited by it. Can somebody achieve anything they believe they can achieve? That's not, once again, these aren't meant to be trick questions. I'm just curious on your opinion.
I'm not being funny. He's been reading Stephen Bartlett this week. All these things keep coming out of his head. And I'm like, oh, of course they can, man. Stop it.
No, I want to hear people's opinions.
I mean, I think you've got to believe it to make it possible. So yeah. If you flip it around, if you don't believe you can do it, you definitely are not going to do it. You need to believe it's possible. And then it's about, the practical elements that go into that. But yeah, 100%, you've got to believe. And most of us stop ourselves from achieving what we really are capable of, because we don't believe that we're truly capable of that.
I do absolutely concur, and it just reminds me of one of my favourite things. I have to remind myself about is if you put all it's nearly 9 billion people. I've been saying 8 billion so long, it's nearly 9 billion. All nearly 9 billion people in a line, right? Or 9 billion people of the world in a line, if you could. The people at each end will be so different to each other, you can't really comprehend. Sorry, the line based on your differences, right? And the people at each end will be so different you couldn't comprehend it. But the person either side of you is probably very, very similar. And that's kind of what we surround ourselves with, which is people who are similar to us. And sometimes, using one of my other things I like to mention is, in theory, I believe we meet about 80,000 people in our life, right?
Wow.
And it's really not a lot, is it? Was that a genuine wow? Oh, I thought it was a sarcastic wow. I was like, wow.
Always sarcastic.
Wow. And then you start to understand that our thoughts, our opinions and our beliefs really are kind of cultured around this quite small melting pot when you look at that 80,000 compared to the differences in the nearly 9 billion people on the planet. And I think having to believe is something, that has to, I was going to say has to be learned, but I didn't know if that, you know what I mean? Exactly what you said. I was just kind of reiterating it in a different way, like I like to.
Yeah, but you're right. I think
one thing.
I was going to say,
no,
yeah,
Danie, go.
I think you are. You're right in that we have, however many people we meet, because that will be different as well depending on your lifestyle, right? I mean, I grew up on the Isle of Wight, and there are people that don't really leave the Isle of Wight. That's where they live, and that's kind of where they stay.
You made it off.
Sorry, how did we not know this? How did we not know Danie? Did you know Danie was on the Isle of Wight?
Congratulations for getting off the island.
We love the Isle of Wight, actually. The kids feel like they're going abroad when we take them on the ferry. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty special, and it's a lovely place. But there are people that don't leave, and of course that's going to give you a very different view of life and the world than someone who travels around all the time and experiences lots of different things. So I think the more that you can open up that perspective, and again, that's kind of what I do with coaching, is metaphorically, you open up perspective, you see things in a different way. So yes, when you're surrounded by the same people all the time, you tend to have similar opinions to each other, and you tend to have the same kind of conversations about the same kind of topics. And sometimes it is, opening up your perspective to something else that then can lead you down a path that you weren't expecting, which is why I say that curiosity is one of my important values, that I'm just trying to, when someone says something to me and I think, oh, I'm not interested in that or whatever, I kind of try to just pause and think, but what if I'm just curious to find out more, because maybe it's actually really interesting, or maybe it's something that could be really useful to me.
Agreed.
Yeah, I totally agree.
One thing I just want to come back to is something that resonated with me as well, is you're not at your goal yet, the idea of the small holding and the land, but everything.
I've got a question around that.
But everything that you're doing in your day-to-day life is building towards that, and it's like you're not growing on your land, but you're growing herbs in your garden, you're cooking with those kind of things. And I think that's a really important thing for our listeners to understand as well, and we realized this a couple of years ago in two aspects. Number one was when we'd had the kids and we were free in terms of we weren't working a 9-to-5 job, and Laura Robinson, friend of the show, she's like,
digital Circus
you could be a digital nomad, you could take that summer off. And that's when we decided to go to Spain for the 6 weeks holiday, which was amazing thing. We were achieving that. Second one, we have like lots of us do, have images on our vision boards and stuff, and one of our end goals is not to necessarily be multi-millionaires, although that would be lovely. So feel free, anyone who wants to give us £1 million several times over, you know where we are. But the idea of having a space, a house big enough to have a massive dining table, those really chintzy like 80s pictures where you've got everyone in really dodgy Christmas jumpers, and you've got
the dad's wearing a blue Marx's V-neck,
great Aunt Flo down the end, and you've got her, and everyone can stay in the same and have that massive Christmas together. That's what our vision is, we have to do that. And then we realised last year, actually, we bought a new dining table, and the house isn't big enough, but actually we could get 12 people around our dining room table now, which is not the end goal, but those little things that we're doing are allowing us to have those feelings and working, a bit like you said there, working towards that overarching thing. But it's the feelings, the emotions, the living as if, so to speak, until you get to that end point. That's just as important. And it's that really sort of cliche, enjoy the journey, not the end destination. That's what we need to come back to, is yes, we know where we want to get to. But if you're spending all that time head down, really hating life because you're not getting there yet, what's the point? Life's far too short to be kind of upset by the fact that we're not there yet. What are the things in your day to day that are giving you that joy and pleasure too?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. One of my favourite quotes, I'm probably going to misquote, but Tony Robbins talks about it's not about the goal, it's the person you become on the journey to achieve that goal. And I think that's really what you've just said, you know, it isn't about the achievement, because who knows if any of us are even going to get there, right? Things happen in life. We're not guaranteed a certain amount of time. But if you can do those little things each day that are making you feel the way you want to feel and spending time the way that you want to, with that goal as an intention, then at least you're enjoying that journey and having more of that now.
So true. Right, I want to come back to the kind of plot of land and the people living on it with you. But first of all, I need to share something. So I Googled. I quite like being able to get the information.
Dual screens going on, guys.
Dual screens, everyone. So when I was Googling the jack of all trades quote to get it right, Google then offers you what other people are also asking. And the only one answer of what other people are asking is being a jack of all trades good or bad? Okay, so before I click on the down arrow, before we get back to the podcast, I wonder, what do we all think?
Good.
Good, Danie?
Yeah, I mean, I literally say all the time I'm a jack of all trades. I think that's not a bad thing to be at all. I think it's probably context specific.
Okay.
If you're a brain surgeon, maybe being a master of one is a good thing.
And the highlighted answer, just for anyone who actually cares, being a jack of all trades can be a powerful asset in the modern workplace.
But I think jack of all trades still comes down to, and we had this on the episode that we did with Laurie Weber and again with Jackie Goddard as well. If anyone's listened to those episodes, although you seem to be a jack of all trades, there's usually a correlation between the things that you're a jack of all trades of that gets you to your end goal as well. So for Laurie, it was a great example of that caring, nurturing, supporting, helping, those things.
Well, helping's a theme, isn't it? A lot, even
it's
with...
been massive throughout all of these episodes. The desire to help or to serve or to impact has come through every single episode we've recorded to date, and the ones that we haven't watched in the future yet as well. Yeah. And that is... whether you have a colourful career past or a portfolio career, those things will usually still have that compound effect of something that you're building up to and why you're doing what you're doing right now.
Okay. Right, Danie, I've got a couple of more questions, if that's okay. So, question one is, I was thinking about your plot of land piece and love all that, well on board with all of that. But one of the things you said that's been stuck in the back of my head was you wanted people to come and live with you, to kind of have that community feel. No? Oh, okay. Did I mishear that? I misheard that.
Not to live.
There's a definite handshake. Right. So I was sitting there. Right, okay. I just misheard stay. And I'm like, you really? I'm thinking this is a cult, right, basically, or a commune. And I was trying to find the right words, right? And I'm like, how do I politically correctly say, are you building a cult? Right, okay. I'm glad I misunderstood that. So
no, very
not
much
people to stay at all then.
Our home, and then like shepherd's huts or accommodation for people to come and stay for a weekend or a week and have a retreat experience.
Retreats.
Not to live.
Right. Okay, so for my own personal mental health and well-being, I'm glad you clarified that, because I was sitting there going, blimey, is Danie going to be like a modern cult leader or something? Because I think that's obviously there's nothing wrong with any of this, right? I'm only messing around. But when you see those environments where everyone is invited to stay, it's normally, I don't know. Let's move on. Save me.
Did you have a second question?
No, I've lost it. Oh yeah, I know. So I'm on board with that. You know, that's something Emily and I would like to do our own version of that, and we were only talking about it yesterday. But
I just want alpacas.
Yeah, you just want alpacas. One of the things that's coming from you is that desire to help people and everything else. So do you want to help lots of people, or you just want to help the few and see the ripples of influence wave out?
I mean, I suppose, yes, lots of people. But I think you'll never know what those ripples look like. So to me, I would rather affect a few people deeply and really have an impact, and then that have a ripple effect, than try to impact loads of people and have less of an impact. So I guess, yes, over the next few years, I'd love to obviously help and work with lots of different people, and that, yeah, and share my knowledge with lots of different people. But to me, it's more about the impact that I have when I'm working with one person or a group of people. That's what's important. I'm not looking for world dominance in the way that, say, you talked about with Jackie. To me, that doesn't resonate in quite the same way. It's about having a meaningful impact and sharing as much as I can, and I will help as many people as I do throughout that process.
No,
Absolutely,
very cool.
that's
As long as they're not staying with you.
Or the mother-in-law.
Or the mother-in-law. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the mother-in-law. Gonna get me in trouble.
Whatever. That's what you were mouth. Anyone listening, Danie was mouthing that to us.
Danie, I could talk about this for hours and hours with you. You're absolutely fascinating, but we have to end. So we're going to end with our final question, as we do every single week. And that, if you're familiar with the show, is if you could go back in time and put an arm around your younger self, what one thing would you say to your younger self?
I think just enjoy it more. My younger self was quite serious, and I felt like I needed to have things worked out. And I was very much a high achiever, and it was always about achieving the next thing. And then as I've got older, what I've learned, and through some personal development, was that actually I wanted to just enjoy life and be me, and I didn't need to be proving something. So actually just that you matter as you are, and just have fun and enjoy and follow what is interesting to you, rather than feeling like you need to be proving something to yourself or to others that you deserve to be here, because everyone deserves to be here.
Cool.
Danie, thank you
much.
so blimming much for being here today. It's been absolutely fascinating speaking to you. To everyone who's listening, thank you very much for listening today, and we will see you next time on the Digital Circus Live.
Thanks,
Bye.
Danie. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.